is up, Transformers family? Welcome back to another episode of George Reviews. I am the 80s Transformers fan, and today on George Reviews, we'll be taking a look at Transformers Studio Series 1986 Transformers the Movies Blurr. He is a deluxe class figure, and his design and look is taken straight from the 1986 movie for like the first time ever in official Transformers toy line. This is packaging. You can see Blurr fully within the window box packaging and all his animated colors. You can see his weapons and whatever. Here's some artwork for Blurr. Doesn't quite look like anything we've seen before from the movies. Stylization at all. Transformers the movie right there and Blurr right there. Ages 8 and up. Hasbro side of the box. The same artwork, just enlarged, deluxe class. The back of the box is the product shot. And I see they put the gun under here like some previous incarnations of Blurr. Stores under there, which you never saw in the animation. But looks pretty animation accurate. And robot mode as well. Big screen inspired. Scale detail backdrop. The figure 1986 right here. So let's get Blurr open and check him out. I think Blurr was one of the most underused characters to come out of the 1986 movie. He had a lot of potential with his speed ability. Like, I always thought he was like the Flash of the Transformers universe. Then I read some material saying it was like actually a malfunction. And if it's a malfunction, it would seem like any Transformer can do it. I thought that made him a little less special when they wrote that in. And here's Blurr out of the package. This is the backdrop he comes with. It's the opening attack scene at Autobot City when everybody pulled up and Ultra Magnus started giving orders right there. It looks pretty damn good. Here is Blurr's instruction booklet. We won't be using that in case somebody curious what's in there. We Transformers with our instructions around here. We take the transformation challenge, which is part of the puzzle play of the figure. And here's Blurr. Let's get Blurr out of the package. He has some anti-theft or safety tie downs to keep the figure from bouncing around or whatever. One gun, and I don't know what this thing is, but we will find out. I think it's the welder. A lot of noise, a lot of noise. Yeah, I think it's the welder when they repaired the shuttle, and he had it for 1 second on Planet Junkion. And here is his rifle. And this concludes the unpackaging portion of our review. Alright, let's take a look at Blurr on the diorama. In this scene from the movie, like I say, Ultra Magnus, Blurr, RC, and Springer pull up, and Ultra Magnus started giving orders. And why? I wondered why these guys don't have comms on them. Ultra Magnus had to tell some of the guys, I can't remember, who said, Springer, you and RC transform Autobot City, and me and Blurr alert the others. Like, why didn't they have like wrist comms or whatever? We seen that. They had to physically go alert everybody else during this attack, and then like didn't nobody else hear the explosions or whatever? And like, why didn't Cup call it in or some of the other Autobots on Lookout Mountain? And maybe I'm just over examining the situation because it was just a movie. No, it was a movie. It's more than just a cartoon. It was a movie, so I am not over examining the situation. And it was just weird that they had to physically alert everybody at Autobot City that they were under heavy attack. And then they were just standing around conversating, calm and cool. No one was firing back. They just, yeah, I thought that was kind of weird, but maybe it was just plot device. But here's Blurr on, and I always wonder, do you keep it folded in like this and have it a contained diorama? Or do you stretch it out so you can see it? And maybe it doesn't look as cool. I love these things, but I don't have places to display them. I try to fold them up, or lay them flat and store them in case I ever want to use them beyond a photo shoot for a review. They're pretty awesome, but take up space like anything else. So let's get Blurr off of it. You know what? Maybe I should put a gun in his hand, do a couple photo shoots for later in the review. All right, let's see what 1986 Blurr has to offer. Let's take a look at the figure overall. Face seems a little bland to me, and he has this light piping, right? Like some of these figures, the light piping is hidden so well, I don't realize it until like the end of the review, but it's like clearly this thick dark blue translucent plastic back here, and it looks kind of cool, but when you turn it around, like, I mean, I'm not really getting anything. Like, I probably could reposition the light, and I think I will to see what I get out of it. Yeah, but this light piping on a lot of Hasbro Transformers is useless because it's not directly overhead, and you got to go behind the figure. And if you have it on the shelf, like there is no light. Well, it depends on what shelf. If you got the little backlighting on your shelf, like a few people can get something out of it, but you got to get it just right to even enjoy it. And if you move it, he has what everybody refers to as the dead eyes, and they kind of look black. So it's cool, but not cool. You know, thanks for including it, but let's do it better. And speaking of the head, it has a lot of detail in it. The face is well molded. The little outlining around the face helmet piece is pretty cool. He has this little part right here with the yellow. He has this little triangular piece right here with the little yellow paint in there, which is cool. Little thing on top of the head that we always see, and a little pattern right here, which is cool. The head is pretty darn cool. He is mostly the two different plastics. He is blue and darker blue. He's pretty much blue plastic, light blue and darker blue. He actually has some translucent plastic, and kudos to Hasbro for doing this, because a lot of times if they use one translucent plastic, they use the same plastic all over. But we got two different ones, the plastic back here and the plastic right here for his chest, which makes him look awesome. He has a teeny tiny Autobot symbol right there. And not much paint going on. And not a whole lot of paint apps going on. I think this part right here is painted white because it's kind of a little messed up right there a little bit. But the toes are white plastic, and everything else is pretty much done in plastic. This is a lighter blue paint right there, but pretty much what you see is what you get. A little paint app right there, which is cool because you don't have to worry about a lot of paint coming off, chipping, wear, or whatever. And the figure will hold up and look nice for a long time. So having done that, these little things are coming down. I'm just like the Generation 1 Blurr. My Generation 1 Blurr, these things are a little floppy, a little easy to move around. So let's do his articulation now. Back to the head. Let's 360 that. A little bit of side to side and a little bit down, and not much, no up at all actually. Let's come to his shoulders. We can get his arm up this far on both sides. 360 at that actually right here at this joint right here underneath, and then this thing is coming down on me. 360 right there. Do we get a bicep? We don't actually get a bicep swivel, but we get the elbow swivel. And coming to his wrist, it looks like, nope, it's actually locked in, so it doesn't rotate because it's locked in right there, and I'm assuming it transforms like that. Getting a little bit ahead of myself, and let's see what we got at the waist. 360 rotation. It looked like it was going to crunch, but I'm assuming that's transformation too. The legs are always great, at least at the hips. Full split. Let's check out his front to back action. Full front to back. You get a lot of posability out of that. Bends at the knees. Does he have a thigh switch? It looks like, yeah, the thigh actually comes all the way up to the waist joint in his head, and it's not cut right here, so I didn't see it at first. The swivel's right there, and again, a knee bend and a rocker on the feet for the wider stance. So you can get a lot of posability out of Blurr. And again, this little thing is coming down, comes on a little easy. It's supposed to kind of go right into this little slot right here on friction, but apparently the little peg is not thick enough. I can make it thicker, but why didn't they do it at the factory so I don't have to? So anyway, let's go to his weapon. This is his laser rifle as seen in the cartoon movie. Has a lot of detail in it. Looks pretty good. Looks movie accurate. Let's get it in his hand. Bam. No trigger on the dang on thing, so he just had to mentally tell it to shoot, or maybe just fires on his own. And like I said earlier in the review, he was really underused and just was kind of wasted on the cartoon. Like, his gimmick was the fast talking what was it, Rick Mashuda? I can't even remember his name, but the guy that did all the Hot Wheels commercials or the Micro or whatever, and he talked really fast. You know what I'm talking about. And instead of using his ability like this, he should have been one of the best fighters it is. And even if his aim wasn't great, it should have been hard to approach this guy. Like when they had him in Transformers the movie and he was shooting, if you can pull the trigger and move that fast, I mean, you killing Decepticons, right? because like he literally had a blur behind him in the movie when he moved, because he moved so fast. And even in a fight situation, he doesn't even have to be the strongest guy. If you're trying to fight him and he's fast enough to keep ducking and keep landing blows, eventually he gonna drop you. And even in a shootout, you know, this guy, he's dodging lasers until he finally hits you. And that's assuming his aim isn't that great. But he should have been like one of the Autobots' top warrior. And I think he was a bit of comic relief in a cartoon and an afterthought. I really thought he was underrepresented in the movie and the '86 cartoon afterwards. They could have did a lot more with this guy. So yeah, and he doesn't have like the peg holes on a lot of these figures, so I don't see a lot of places where the gun can store in his robot mode. I'm turning them around, see if I see any holes. I don't see anything, which I actually like, because this is how I store my weapons. Boom, there it is. But I don't see anything. Maybe if someone knows, you can tell me where else you can store the gun. And then, all right, next up is the welder. Hot Rod came with one as well, but this isn't the same one as well. But this isn't the same one that came with Hot Rod. And he used this in the 1986 movie when they crashed on the planet Junkion, and Perceptor said, make sure the fittings are securely welded. And speaking of Perceptor, I wonder if we're going to get that guy too. I wonder if they're going to make everybody from the movie or just the guys that were introduced in 1986. Well, I guess that's not true, because we got the Dinobots. We got Slag and Grimlock, or Slug, whatever they call them now, and Grimlock. So maybe we'll get a Perceptor too. But here is the welder. Has some details in it, a little bit, just a little bit, and just enough so you can know what the heck it is. So that pops. Okay, it's in there kind of tight. I'm just going to say pops right out. So that is that for the accessory. He only comes with the two, but I don't think he really needs more than that. So let's move on to the transformation. I started with the hand, and I kind of smooshed it over, but as I've been messing with it, I see that this little part right here comes out to cover up the hand, and then we close it back up. Come to this side and repeat the beat. Close that up. Then on a lot, just like most of these figures, I think they started this in the Combiner Wars line, like the feet and legs open up to unhinge. This little part comes out right here. Let's see. And this goes under the, you know what, I'm all over the place. Let's open these little wings up. Wait, this part right here comes out of this slot, so you can open the wings up. Take this down. Oh, they're not even wings. I'm just talking. All right, these open up. And the false chest, or well, this not even a false chest. This part turns, and we unhinge this right here. Cover up the face. Yeah, I should have started at the top. And now we can bring this around. Like, move that out of the way. Bring this around, and the little foot part tabs in right there. Come over to this side, unhinge this. Looks like I got some paint scraping right here already. And unhinge this part and fold it over and do the same. Get this out of the way and repeat the beat on this side. Then of course you see where it snaps together and ports in right here. So we can get that to happen. And come under here and peg that in right there. Is it pegged in? I don't know. I think it's pegged. I'll do all the tabbing later. Then you see the hands, it's just like the G1. Oh, cover that back up. Comes back here. And there's a port to tab. See, rotate. Oh, rotate. All right, let's try this. I know it goes back here. Has to. All right, rotate this part around. All right, there is a tab right there and a port right there. I think. Yep. That in there, and then there is a tab under here, and you get that right there. Come around to the same side, the other side, do the same thing. Rotate that, slide it in, and tab it in, and we are done. Wait, got the window wrong. Goes this way, and it looks really cool with this little translucent piece. I hated the paint on the G1. I always wondered why they didn't just give us a clear plastic. So here is Blurr, and I just noticed I'm looking, and I don't see any landing gear or wheels. Wheels, I should say. And I guess he doesn't roll, like you just scoot the guy. So I believe this is the completed transformation other than tabbing and practice hands on it. Here it is. And they actually left this little space from the G1 toy, which I think was a design error, and they kept it in here because it's clearly not a seat, because this is the cockpit in there, inside this little translucent part. But again, here it looks great. It looks 100 times better than G1, but does not roll. And it looks like I scraped some paint here, or maybe it's already scraped. And I saw something on the white, like right here. See if I get the lights a little softer, and maybe you can see it. Like, I don't know if you can see it, but right there I scraped the paint, or it scraped off. So it sucks a little bit, but this thing looks perfect. This thing looks way better than the G1, and you know I'm a complete G1 head. I love my G1, but a lot of those figures were really flawed. And speaking of G1, let me bring it out right now. Let's quit playing around. Here is the Generation 1 Blurr. And he was a parts former. Like, this little part came off right here, it comes off right here, and it was easily broken. So I'm always weary when I pop it on and pull it off. But here he is, and then he had this gap right here where the head would not quite fit up to the other part of the toy. And like, this is the cockpit, and even in the animation they kind of drew it with a gap, and then it's got the gap right here, but it actually looks good right here. But it wouldn't make any sense for a guy to sit right here and right here, like an open guy and then an enclosed guy. So I don't know, which one is it? Which one do you think, or do you even know for a fact which one it is? But this thing looks a lot better, the color and everything. This has I have some fading on this, but these colors were really drab, and then you can see his face peeking out. His feet are die cast over here. No die cast in this one at all, other than the pins in it. So here are the two side by side. All right, back to what we're here to review, the 1986 version. You can take the gun. There's a little peg right here and a little slot on the gun. You can put it on either side. You can flip the gun either way and get the gun right there. But again, he doesn't roll, and this thing doesn't help either. And I kind of see that if they put wheels on it, it would be wheels under his feet or whatever. But man, it would have been sure nice to get some wheels on this thing. And as far as I know, I don't think this stores. Oh, shows you what I know. You can store it right there, put it on a little booster, but then you would cover up the booster. So you can't store this thing. I don't know if there's a compartment or anything, or sometimes these things snap on and I don't pay attention because I'll be so, oh, wait a minute, yep. No instructions, and I found it. My failures have made me more savvy in the review, and it looks like my windshield can tab in, and I didn't do it. So let's see if I can get it. Yep. Oh, it popped out. But it's actually a little tape. Mine's popping out. But it's supposed to tab in. And I discovered that before the review was over, and 100 people told me how I messed it up. But there is Blurr in his vehicle mode. And speaking of his vehicle mode, let's get another 1986 Studio Series vehicle out here. Here is Scourge, whatever you like. I'm not going to fight with you. In his vehicle mode. I really like this vehicle mode. I think it's a stronger mode than his robot mode. And his robot mode is not bad at all. We don't know why this little plastic doesn't match the other blues, because they're both painted. I don't know. And apparently they did it on purpose. It may be like that in the cartoon. I just don't remember, but just noticing that. But other than not having wheels, I think it is perfect in this mode. But I wish it had wheels, but I kind of see why they didn't put wheels on it. So I'm going to get this guy back in robot mode and roll on. All right, here Blurr is back into his robot mode, and I like both modes. I think the vehicle mode is the best mode, probably because the original G1 vehicle mode was so terrible to me as a kid. I had Blurr as a kid, the original G1, and I just did not like it. I was like, how could they make these toys just for the movie, and they still sort of kind of suck, you know? And, oh, I peeped something out that this little piece right here can store in robot mode. So there we go. I discovered it before you guys had a chance to tell me, unless you commented when I first brought it up. Therefore, you got me. But before it was over with, I discovered that. And I'm going to bring out the Generation 1 Blurr, put these guys side by side, and man, you see what I mean? Like, I collect these guys now for nostalgia's sake, but some of these figures Hasbro are dropping are a lot better and much improved over the G1. Just look at this face. Yeah, it's still cool though. And then he parts form, like the little front of the vehicle becomes a shield in his hand, which I didn't like. Like in 1984 and 1985, I forgave parts forming. It was like kind of cool, especially if the arms or hands were spring loaded. But as we moved into the movie, it was like, why have we not engineered these things better? You know, I was getting older as a kid and like wasn't as accepting of some things. And I did not like he had to hold the shield. And then throughout time, it was easily broken. But anyway, here are the two side by side. You can see where they get the inspirations. Of course, this is a take on this and add the movie look to it. And the guns are nothing alike. This was almost like a generic movie stylized gun, and this was a Generation 1 Blurr gun. Kind of looks like it belongs to a Joe or something. And obviously it's black and this one is white. And there are the similarities and differences. And with that, I'll move on to the size up and a rundown. First up is Studio Series Scourge, Cyclonus, Galvatron, Cup and Hot Rod. And jumping outside the Transformer universe, here he is with DC's Multiverse Flash. Alright, to wrap it up, I like this figure, but with all figures, I always think of things they could have did better. I wish this hinge right here actually went in reverse or went the other ways to get it the butterfly, so he can kind of get two hands on the gun. Because the first time we saw him shooting in the movie, he kind of had two hands on it shooting out the window. And that would have been cool if we could have got maybe like an open hand to like cup the gun underneath. But we didn't get that. Also, these little parts come down pretty easy. Don't like that. Didn't like that he didn't have any wheels underneath. But other than that, he's a really cool figure like the rest of these Studio Series figures. I really think they did a great job with this 1986 Studio Series line. Well, all the Studio figures are pretty good anyway. They're like a step up in figures, I do believe. But I do like it, and I do recommend it if you can find it. Underused character in the Transformers universe across the board, in my opinion. I want to thank everybody for watching another episode of George Reviews. The reviews where every toy has a story.